Once upon a time, in an eco-friendly village, a community elder named Betty lived with her cat. The world around her had experienced a pandemic, and social isolation was a government mandate to keep everyone safe until a vaccine could be developed. After 2 years of staying home and keeping safe, it was discovered that people's mental health had been adversely affected. As people started to come out of their houses, they found that they had forgotten how to talk, how to be friendly, and even how to drive their cars. The government then mandated everyone should see a psychologist and extended the Medicare funding to allow for this. Betty visited her psychologist, Teresa, each week. While she had been coping well before the pandemic with living alone, she now felt loneliness was stronger than she was. Teresa gave her activities to do, like invite friends to lunch, but Betty felt everyone had their own family and didn't have time for her. What she needed was a companion, someone to share her life with, after all these years of spinsterhood. Then one day, her friend Joan called her on the telephone. Joan had news about a mutual friend of 50 years ago. Their friend, Giovanni, had just become a widow. Joan had forgotten that Giovanni was Betty's first love. And by the time she had remembered, Betty had started making plans. Joan reminded her of the old saying, "If you love someone, set them free." She reminded Betty that was what she told her about Giovanni all those years ago. Joan continued, "If they are yours, they will come back to you." And Betty finished the sentence with, "And if they don't, hunt them down." Joan was apprehensive of this 50-year reunion she could hear in Betty's unsaid words, but she gave her the funeral details anyway. Betty went down to the funeral, but did not want to talk to Giovanni. What would she say after 50 years? "I'm sorry your wife died?" She was not sure if she was sorry. So instead, she left her calling card with one of the funeral directors to pass on. She went home, and like old times, she waited for his call. It seemed that Giovanni, who preferred to be called John these days, did vaguely remember her, and so they set up to go out for drinks. John liked to call Betty by her younger name of Elizabeth, and she liked this as she felt like a teenager again around him. However, it didn't take long for Elizabeth to see the foolishness of her ways. The first love of her life was no longer 25 years old and certainly behaved his age or older. In the shadows of his widowhood, he latched onto Elizabeth as a wife replacement and someone to take care of him. Betty did not want to be his nursemaid and couldn't bring herself to break his heart, so instead she avoided him. One day he turned up at her doorstep. He was very apologetic and kind and sweet, and he declared his love for her. Her heart swelled as it did those years before, and before she could respond, he collapsed on the ground in front of her. As it turned out, his heart had probably swelled too, and his aorta gave way, resulting in instant death. Betty didn't know how she was supposed to feel. She had lost her first love 50 years ago. Then she found him. In a short time, she could see she was not in love with the 75-year-old man he had become, but breaking his heart was not her intention. What Betty did learn for herself, though, is that first loves don't die until you meet him again and can see that your memories were better than the reality. She also learned that first loves do die when they get too excited and burst a valve. Betty went back to her spinster life at peace with herself and her journey to that point in time. She could see that John was never hers, but the memories and hopes she would hold forever.